The novel Beloved, written by Nobel Prize winner Toni Morrison, is a disturbing graphic depiction of the aftermath of slavery in the year 1856. It has been challenged many, many times for being too violent, for including descriptions of gang rape and murder, for discussion of bestiality, for inappropriate language, ghosts, and mature themes around racism, sex, and slavery. But isn't that the point? Doesn't it make sense that a novel about slavery and its aftermath, about the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, about the acts that took place at that time, would be graphic and disturbing? I first read Beloved when I was a teen. It's one of the only books I've read where I found myself unable to breathe during certain passages. It was absolutely disturbing and one of the most powerful books I've ever read. I've selected a passage near the beginning of the story. It gives you an idea of the language, the lyrical language Morrison uses, but I urge you to read or reread the whole book again. It will stay with you like it's stayed with me. Now here was this woman with the presence of mind to repair a dog gone savage with pain, rocking her crossed ankles and looking away from her own daughter's body, as though the size of it was more than vision could bear. And neither she nor he had on shoes. Hot, shy, now Denver was lonely. All that leaving, first her brothers, then her grandmother, serious losses since there were no children willing to circle her in a game or hang by their knees from her porch railing. None of that mattered as long as her mother did not look away, as she was doing now, making Denver long, downright long, for a sign of spite from the baby ghost. "She's a fine-looking young lady," said Paul D. "Fine-looking. Got her daddy's sweet face." "You know my father?" Knew him well." "Did he, ma'am?" Denver fought an urge to realign her affection. "Of course he knew your daddy. I told you, he's from Sweet Home." Denver sat down on the bottom step. There was nowhere else gracefully to go. They were a twosome, saying "your daddy" and "Sweet Home" in a way that made it clear both belonged to them, not to her. That her father's absence was not hers. Once the absence had belonged to Grandma Baby, a son deeply mourned, because he was the one who brought her out of there. Then it was her mother's absent husband. Now it was this hazelnut stranger's absent friend. Only those who knew him well, could claim his absence for themselves, just as only those who lived in Sweet Home could remember it, whisper it, and glance sideways at one another while they did. Again, she wished for the baby ghost, its anger thrilling her now, where it used to wear her out. Wear her out. "We have a ghost here," she said, and it worked. They were not a twosome anymore. Her mother left off swinging her feet and being girlish. Memory of Sweet Home dropped away from the eyes of the man she was being girlish for. He looked quickly up the lightning white stairs behind her. "So I hear," he said. "But sad," your mama said, "not evil." "No, sir," said Denver. "Not evil, but not sad either." "What then?" "Rebuked. Lonely and rebuked." "Is that right?" Paul D. turned to Seth. "I don't know about lonely," said Denver's mother. "Mad, maybe, but I don't see how it could be lonely spending every minute with us like it does." "Must be something you got at once." Seth shrugged. "It's just a baby." "My sister," said Denver. "She died in this house." Paul D. scratched the hair under his jaw. "Reminds me of that headless bride back behind Sweet Home. Remember that, Seth? Used to roam them woods regular." "How could I forget? Worrisome." "How could everybody run off from Sweet Home? Can't stop talking about it. Looked like if it was so sweet, you would have stayed." "Girl, who you talking to?" Paul D. laughed. True, she's right, Seth. It wasn't sweet, and it sure wasn't home." He shook his head. "But it's where we were," said Seth. "All together. Comes back whether we want it to or not." She shivered a little. A light ripple of skin on her arm, which she caressed back to sleep. Denver, she said, start up that stove. Can't have a friend stop by and don't feed him. Don't go to any trouble on my account, Paul D. said. Bread ain't trouble. The rest I brought back from where I work. Least I could do, cooking from dawn to noon, is bringing dinner home. You got any objections to Pike? If he don't object to me, I don't object to him. At it again, thought Denver, her back to them. She jostled the kindling and almost lost the fire. Why don't you spend the night, Mr. Garner? You and Ma'am can talk about Sweet Home all night long. Seth took 2 swift steps to the stove, but before she could yank Denver's collar, the girl leaned forward and began to cry. What is the matter with you? I never knew you to behave this way. Leave her be, said Paul D. I'm a stranger to her. That's just it. She got no cause to act up with a stranger. Oh, baby, what is it? Did something happen? But Denver was shaking now and sobbing so she could not speak. The tears she had not shed for 9 years wetting her far too womanly breasts. I can't no more. I can't no more. Can't what? What can't you? I can't live here. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I can't live here. Nobody speaks to us. Nobody comes by. Boys don't like me. Girls don't either. Honey, honey. What's she talking about nobody speaks to you? Asked Paul D. It's the house. People don't. It's not. It's not the house. It's us and it's you. Denver. Leave off, Seth. It's hard for a young girl living in a haunted house. That can't be easy. It's easier than some other things. Think, Seth. I'm a grown man with nothing new left to see or do, and I'm telling you, it ain't easy. Maybe you all ought to move. Who owns this house? Over Denver's shoulder, Seth shot Paul D. a look of snow. What do you care? They won't let you leave? No. Seth, no moving, no leaving. It's all right the way it is. You going to tell me it's all right with this child half out of her mind? Something in the house braced, and in the listening quiet that followed, Seth spoke. I got a tree on my back and a haint in my house, and nothing in between but the daughter I am holding in my arms. No more running from nothing. I will never run from another thing on this earth. I took one journey and I paid for the ticket. But let me tell you something, Paul D. Garner. It costs too much. Do you hear me? It costs too much. Now sit down and eat with us, or leave us be.